We're almost at the end of 2025, and Fender have released a few Jaguars recently. However, if you want one of the real deal ones with the typical rosewood fingerboard and the traditional electronics, you still gotta either buy one used or find one in Japan. It's been 8 months. The last guitar I imported from Japan was a Jaguar. It was late 60s, and it's an absolutely beautiful instrument. Never gonna let go of that one, but I saw this one pop up, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to try it. I want to figure out exactly how much the tariffs are going to be because I'm not going to get a bill until, I don't know, about a week after I'm filming this video, and I'll report back on that. But this particular trim of the Jaguar is a rather uncommon one because it's very different from the current ones that are being made. So let's check it out. And there we have it. Daphne Blue Fender Traditional 2018 Jaguar. This one's a little bit different than the ones that are being made, as I previously said before I cut the camera and kind of fast forwarded everything. But the main thing here is, for people in the United States of America, this is going to feel so much more at home than the traditional twos. A lot of people kind of get confused with this because you'll see they look super vintage, especially the one that I have. It's going to pop up on the screen real quick. They look right, but the thing is, the nut width, previously, they used to be American spec like this one. This is absolutely American spec. I believe it's 42 millimeters on this, but I'll get the calibers out just to confirm. But on the newer ones, when you see the traditional twos, they got the nice matching headstocks. Sometimes they got the binding. Sometimes they got the block inlays, or in some cases you get both. It's a really narrow nut width. The nut width on mine is 39.4 millimeters. So if you're used to playing traditionally American guitars, switching to one of those new modern ones, as pretty as they are, it could be a little bit of a deal breaker, potentially something that you just aren't going to be comfortable with. Whereas this one, this feels like one of the American vintage models. Beautiful neck on it, not super thick, but as a whole here, condition-wise, this is a beauty. Not too heavy either. Let's get the vibrato arm tuned up. We are in tune. There are a few things that I want to go over today. Number one, I want to address the fact that there is no vibrato arm in this guitar, so we're not going to be able to check that out. They sent me one. It's not the right size for this unit. That stuff happens all the time. I got extra spares that I can throw into this after the fact, but I want to make sure all the electronics work because I did just get this from Japan. Then after that, I grabbed this one. This is my 2025 model, and the reason for that is because I know when you're shopping online for Jaguars, if you're looking for custom colors, you want a rosewood fingerboard, maybe matching headstock and all that, you're not likely to be able to find one in person, at least in this country. And if I can give you a little bit of insight on the feel differences, because the necks, again, very different flavors on the older ones versus the newer ones, might help you make a more informed decision and not something that you immediately regret or don't like. So, that being said, we'll start off here on the bridge pickup and just going to run through them, make sure they work. noisy with gain there. Sounds really good though. Tone control, I didn't try that though. I don't know if you noticed what I did there. When I was playing with gain, I had the strangle still engaged, and I had to turn it on in the middle of it. The neck pickup in particular, this is one of the reasons that I like the traditional wiring so much. When you have gain on the neck pickup, like we had a pretty aggressive amount there for, you know, tones that I like to play. If I have the strangle on, it tightens it up so much more by removing a little bit of low end. And a lot of people have this misconception that like Jaguars, Mustangs, and the Jazzmaster especially can get super, super muddy. That they can't, because they're not humbucker guitars, but they can. And the purpose of the strangle switch really, really helps, especially when you're playing with other people. It's why I never understood the 408 switching. You're putting it into series, you're adding even more mud than you normally would from just a traditional single coil and a neck pickup. Sure, you have bright switches to kind of mitigate that, but at that point you're creating a problem for no reason. Stock circuit is just fine. Jaguars are great. So let's go ahead and switch to the newer model. Going to play this very briefly, and then we're going to talk about some of the differences. It's out of tune, but I already know what I want to say because there's a significant difference between these two guitars. If you're like me, for the first like 15 years, I want to say that I was playing guitar, I never even looked at the spec of the nut width. I didn't care. I just thought a Fender was a Fender, a Gibson was a Gibson, and I kind of had an idea of how they were going to feel. Given the fact that there is a pretty big difference between 42 or 43 millimeters, which is what you're going to find on some of the new modern Fender guitars in the United States of America, like the Ultra and the Ultralux Vintage. 39.4, this is listed at 40 millimeters. This is really narrow. What that translates to, though, in practical terms, when you're playing in the cowboy chord area, you're simply not going to have as much room as you are with a guitar that has a bigger nut width on it. It's going to allow you to become a more precise player, and there's a lot of people, especially people on YouTube like Tomo Fujita, who is a monster guitarist who really puts a lot of praise and gives a lot of credit to his technique on playing older Duosonics and Music Masters that have super narrow nut widths as well, because you have to remember they would have an A nut carve, which would be very narrow, B, which was your standard, and then C, which was a little bit wider than what you would typically find. On these guitars, man, it's really reminiscent of playing an A neck. So it's a lot narrower, and yeah, it's a totally different experience. I muted strings on accident, even just switching right there, and I don't normally kind of mess up basic things on this guitar. It's just, I quickly got used to that one, and all my other Fender guitars have that nut width on it. Few interesting facts for you, though. Why did Fender Japan switch from the more traditional kind of in line with American spec to the newer one with the narrower and the different neck profile on it? There's actually a reason for it. I talked to two different dealers in Japan, and I couldn't believe that I got the same answer, so obviously I'm barking up the right tree here. The key demographic, well, the people that are actually buying the Fender Jaguars and have the most interest in them in Japan itself, are women. Women typically don't have as big a hands as men, and they gravitate towards the model, so to accommodate for that, they ended up making things a little bit smaller and a little bit narrower. It makes a lot of sense, and you have to remember that these guitars weren't intended for the American market. They were made just for Japan and parts of Asia. So not taking into consideration the fact that, people like me here in the US might get our hands on them or really desire these guitars, they had to put their own people first and their own sales first. So I thought that was really fascinating when I heard that, and it was something I wanted to share with you guys. Last few thoughts that I would like to kind of put in your mind if you're looking at these two guitars. If weight is a consideration to you, and it means a lot, this is not a particularly heavy guitar. I would say this is about average, 8.5 pounds. It's typical of a Fender Jaguar, which you're going to find made in America that has a rhythm circuit. Sometimes you'll find ones that are over 9 pounds, and that can be a bit much. But if you want something lighter, newer ones, it's far easier to find one in the kind of, under 8 pounds, and in some cases well under 8 pounds, depending on the trim of the model that you're getting. This one weighs in at 7.5 pounds, but on a regular standard, just custom colored traditional 2 I had, shell pink, weighed 6 pounds and 14 ounces, and it had the rhythm circuit and the full vibrato on it. So it's wild. You can definitely find ones that are lighter. So if that's something that's a big consideration or really important to you as a player, if you're either standing up for long sets of periods of time or just you don't want to sit with a heavy guitar, it might be better off to go with one of these. But at the end of the day here, they're very different. They're so different that I would like to have one of them in one tuning and the other one in standard tuning and kind of alternate from there, because yeah, it's just a totally different playing experience, besides the fact that the scale length obviously is the same. It's 24 inches on both of them, and the electronics are really similar with the vintage layout on them. They just feel so different. So before you just rush in and you buy one of the things online, consider what I said. Please take it into consideration, because I wouldn't want you to spend money on something and then you find out, oh my god, immediately this is too much up here on one of the newer ones and it's not going to work out for you. If I could help you with that, that'd be good in my book. But I'm rambling. It is late. I'm going to go eat dinner, and you'll be seeing this guitar a few more times, potentially before it goes up to sale. I don't know. You can check the website. Maybe you'll be able to find it first. Thank you for watching today's video. Questions, comments, or concerns, let me know in the comment section down below. There will be a general offset video tomorrow. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you there. Take care.